Hello and welcome to this podcast on how to develop a long-lasting meditation practice, even if you're new to meditation. My name is Tony Myers and I'm an author, a coach, and a meditation and yoga teacher trainer. And I'm super excited to be here in Rudy's Cafe in the Gold Coast with my soul sister, Nellie. I think you're really going to love this podcast. We're going to cover some tips on how to master meditation. We're going to cover how to overcome some of the most common obstacles and challenges of meditation. I'm also going to share with you some of my story, which I don't normally do. And we're also going to be sharing some of my students' transformations. And I think you'll find this podcast very useful because so many people around the world are challenging with meditation. So we're going to help you to solve all of that in this podcast. And if you would like to go deeper into these methodologies, there should be a link in the description to discover more about my brand new book called The Art and Science of Mastering Meditation. So let's jump right in.
All right. And my first question, Tony, is what meditation is and what actually is not. Because sometimes I think there are many misconceptions.
Yeah.
So if you could just clear out for us what meditation is.
Sure. Yeah, so I think if this question was asked to many different people, you'd probably get many different answers. So I can answer this from my perspective of practicing meditation for 20 years, living in India, meditating with Buddhist monks, and in Sri Lanka and Thailand. So from my perspective, the key element of meditation is, number one, developing high levels of awareness. Awareness means conscious knowledge of your character, feelings, and emotions. Awareness is not just about awareness of the present moment. It's about developing awareness of the past, the present, and the future. Do you want to go deeper into that?
We can. Yeah, definitely.
And so, Nellie, the reason why that is important is because awareness of the past can be a very powerful tool. For example, you can learn from the past. So this is where we could practice analytical meditation techniques to develop awareness of the past, to learn from the past, as opposed to beating yourself up and being concerned about it. Instead, we can learn from the past. We can go into the past to remember all the skills and knowledge that we have that we've utilized before to achieve our goals. So for example, if we could be at work and we could be stressing out about our work environment, for example. Since sometimes without knowledge of this can create challenges long-term in our health and our wellness. So we could direct into the past and go, okay, I'm more than skilled to do this job. I've done this job before. I've had successful outcomes before. So you could partake in your day with more ease and more grace. So that is one way, and this can be utilized in meditation, meditating after you've worked to sit down, or you could even do a meditation before work. So the past is very powerful, and then the lessons that you've learned in the past, remembering those. And yes, it's not always great to dwell on the past, but there's two main reasons why we can utilize meditation. This can really help us to cleanse and purify our subconscious mind and to release the emotional charge of those events.
Just as you're saying that, I already feel better, and I can definitely imagine that you can implement it into your life.
Yeah, it can be very easily implemented. A way to do that, you could be at work, you could, whether you're seated in an office or wherever, you could just take a few conscious breaths. Take a break. Just take a little break, have a few conscious breaths. Yeah, and then I think we'll go into breathing patterns later too, but we can start to mouth breathe a little bit, and that facilitates anxious, nervous breathing. So if you can just come back, start to breathe through the nose, calm yourself a little bit, and then you could reflect on your days or things that you've done that successfully achieved your goal. And then this can be a very powerful way just to calm you down as well.
So we can everyone now take a deep breath, not with your mouth, through the nose. And release.
Yeah, I feel better already. I've filmed some videos before, so it's okay. So that's the past. Now the future as well. Well, let's talk about redirecting the mind from that situation. So it's often commonly mentioned that meditation is all just about being in the present moment and to stop your thoughts and to still your mind. Whereas in this scenario as well, we can start to redirect the mind to focus on positive outcomes we've had, successful days, successfully achieved goals in our life. This helps us to remember what we've achieved. And this is related to dharana, or focused concentration meditation techniques, where we can direct the mind on a yantra, a mantra, an affirmation, but it can also be, we can also redirect the mind to positive outcomes, to remember or to visualize positive outcomes of ourselves having a successful day, like we've had
So
many
that
times
is
before.
as a manifestation sort of a technique. Would we put it into that? Or
Well, that's part of manifesting. It's a good question too, because when we consciously thinking of positive outcomes and scenarios, then we vibrate at a frequency that draws those scenarios into our life. So there's a relationship there as well. And that is I think that is one of the key components of meditation on that topic, sankalpas. So a sankalpa is derived from the Vedas, which is the earliest wisdom text, scribed, they say between about 2,500 BC, but scholars are now finding it's probably a lot longer. And that's when it was written down, but verbally, probably 5,000 or 10,000 years. So in this first ancient wisdom text that's scribed, they have a sankalpa. So a sankalpa is to repeat a positive statement, a vow, to achieve your goal, no matter what challenges arises. So it's kind of like an affirmation, but it's repeated for your life mission, or it can be repeated like an affirmation for any goal in your life. So that's a classic example of one of the many techniques that is scribed in the text that is very different to, I think, what is commonly taught today. So that is awareness. Okay, so the other thing I think is very important when what meditation is learning how to cleanse and purify your subconscious mind of past unwanted experiences. So I think this is very important as well, because meditation is commonly taught just to be in the present moment. The present moment is a beautiful thing. It's great to be here with you. When you're with your family, your friends, or your partner, when you're walking out in nature, and there's many times in our life, the present moment is beautiful. And I'd recommend that you practice this daily. It's a very beautiful thing. However, the past experiences that are stored in our subconscious mind inhibit us from experiencing the joy of the present moment. So meditation, having said that, meditation can be used as a very powerful tool to purify the subconscious mind. This is achieved by practicing pratyahara techniques, which is derived from the Patanjali Yoga Sutras. So these are systematic sets of practices that guide your body and mind into a more calmer, deeper, peaceful state. And then in this state, you're more relaxed and calm. And then we practice another technique called Chittakash Dharana, which helps us to tune into our higher self. And then we witness these past events. This can be challenging because the past events can arise.
of course, it's not gonna be pretty experience.
It cannot always be pretty. And the events can come back. But the beauty of this practice is the more you can practice this and the more you systematically guide yourself into these calm, deep, peaceful states, and watch and observe from your higher self. So this is the key, and the breath is the key there to tuning into your higher self. When we watch this from our higher self or our more evolved brain, or you could use it as your soul,
I guess you're not getting entangled that much.
you're not wrapping up as much too.
Yeah, in that emotions and
Perfectly, yeah. Because your higher self is very wise and calm. It just watches and observes. And when we do this, sometimes automatically, sometimes over a long period of time, the emotional charge of that experience starts to dissipate. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And we come up with solutions in our mind. We resolve the situation. So your mind has a natural ability to heal, just like as if we cut ourselves. But the mind needs the right conditions to do that. And so relaxation is the requisite, and also practicing pratyahara techniques and to be able to tune into your higher self, to watch and observe from your higher self.
We're gonna have to let
We'll go deeper into
yeah,
that.
tell us more.
And this is not commonly taught as well. And this is a very powerful technique. This is derived from the ancient wisdom texts of this concept called sakshi. So the sakshi is your wise, calm, grounded higher self, or you could look at it from a more Buddhist perspective of meditating and developing higher wisdom and knowledge to understand what is arising in your mind. So there's parallels there with the Hindi texts and Buddhism. So that's a very powerful technique. So I think meditation is a lot about that. Meditation, I really think, is also about reprogramming your subconscious mind and redirecting the mind as well. So the process we spoke about there can be very powerful. Just that will free your mind, cleanse and purify your mind, will help you to reduce stress and anxiety. Just this is very powerful, and you can practice this, but there's more. So the other techniques are called dharana, or focused concentration meditation techniques, where number one, we can redirect the mind to where we would like it to go. We can turn our unhelpful thoughts or experiences into positive, empowering thoughts and experiences. This could be developing an understanding of learnings from them. Or we can just flip the situation into a positive situation and outcome.
I think that is very important, like to cooperate this into our daily lives.
Yeah, once again.
I think this is really good.
Yeah, once again, this can be done at work as well. And it's very important that we take a few moments. This can be done in micro meditations. So throughout our day, we can just take a few moments to calm down a little bit. We can be doing this even if we have co-workers around. We're just focusing on our breath. We're just relaxing. And then you can analyze or just redirect the mind. And it's very powerful because when we're in that stressful moment, in the present moment, it can be hard to, it's a challenging moment.
Just imagine.
You have a frustrating customer.
You have
an example, Nelly.
Funny coffees, Nelly, and you have to do this and then. Yeah.
Yeah. And straight away we start, yeah.
Exactly. And I said,
yeah.
And exactly. Just relax. You can do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And the thing is, it sounds like a bit of fun now, but the thing is, if people in their daily life, let's use work as an example, or any situation, if you stress continually over long periods of time, then this builds up in the body. It affects our respiratory system, our cardiovascular system, and on that topic too, when we're stressed, adrenaline is pumped in our bloodstream. And what this does is it shuts down our reproductive system, our immune system, our ability to create new red blood cells. So all of your reproductive system, our body is shut down, and oxygen and energy and chemicals are not going into these systems.
All the chemical, nutrition base, everything change. All these reactions gonna be changed, and all the cortisol and everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gonna keep.
So I don't know if you wanted to talk a little bit more on that topic, but maybe later, another podcast.
There's gonna be another podcast. It's gonna be about me.
Okay, so we're transitioning. So we're going very deep into this. I was expecting on just covering it in a couple of minutes, but this is great. So I think the other key thing in meditation is to work out why you're here on this planet and who you really are, because we're here for a reason. You might not think so, or you're here to live your life to the fullest. So it's very important that we discover our life's purpose. This is a key essential concept for us in life. When you have discovered your life's purpose and you're living your life's purpose, then once again, all these stressful events and that become smaller because you have a bigger mission. So I think meditation is about discovering your life's purpose. Meditation, I also think, is about living your life to the fullest and achieving your goals, dreams, and aspirations. Because we are human beings. We have an innate desire to live a fulfilling, successful life. So I think some gurus suppress your desires and goals and dreams. And I think this is really wrong, because the gurus they're living their lives following their goals and dreams as they tell their students not to. So living your life to the fullest and discovering your life's purpose. And ultimately, on a higher level, I think meditation is about tuning into become the best possible version of yourself, or that best possible version of yourself, or on a higher level, your individual consciousness or your soul to guide you to live your life. And then we can take that further. All of the ancient wisdom texts, the Vedas, Upanishads, they all advocate that the key of meditation and yoga is to unite your individual consciousness with the universal consciousness. That can sound like an esoteric concept. You could look at that as tuning into your more evolved brain to then access a quantum field of infinite potentiality to materialize your goals and dreams and aspirations in life.
It makes sense to me.
Okay, that's great. So that was quickly what is meditation from my perspective. What is not meditation? Well, I think meditation is not about not having any goals or dreams, as is advocated by gurus and influencers. It's not about just being in the present moment. We covered that clearly. And it's not about repeating just secret mantras. Mantras are very powerful, and that would be a topic of another podcast. And if you'd like to go deeper into this concept, you'll find some other videos on my YouTube channel. So mantras are very powerful. It's just there's so much more to meditation than just repeating secret mantras. Okay, so I covered a lot of stuff there, Nelly. What's your take on the concepts, and do you think you could implement that into your daily life?
Absolutely. Like everything what you have said, it resonates with me deeply. And I just realized just from listening to you that I actually forgot some of the things, along the way as our day goes by and you maybe get sometimes catch into the routine. Then I forgot to do the things even when I did before. So maybe just woke up in the morning 5 minutes earlier and, just take a deep breath. There is a new day coming, and just maybe to recognize yourself, what you have already achieved, who you are, and that you can step and not to be already rushing like, oh, I have to do this. No, just take deep breath.
Yeah, it's very powerful. And I mean, from my perspective, what I've also been doing lately is waking up every day and just having gratitude for what I have as well. And the other thing that I've been doing personally is giving myself little pats on the back. Because normally I'm like a high achiever, and I'm going, okay, today I want to do X, Y, and Z, and I have big goals. And so what I've been doing lately is if I achieve a small little goal, I say, okay, well done, Tony, let's move on to the next. And I've been giving myself these little, I don't know if you call them pep talks, but just reminding myself, grateful to have life, and also recognizing the small goals that I've achieved that will be stepping stones to achieve my major goal. So yeah. Okay, that was great. I hope you enjoyed that. Let's move on to the next question.
And I would like to ask you, Tony, with the meditation techniques, do they have any religious beliefs? I think it gets a bit mixed up sometimes, or where they actually come from.
Yeah, I think that's a great question, Nelly. And I think a lot of people in the world are a little bit confused about this. I think it is changing, to be honest with you, as meditation is becoming more popular in that. So the first thing is the Buddha neither taught belief or disbelief in any gods, probably for that reason 2,500 years ago. So that was the acceptable interpretation of what the Buddha taught. As far as we go back throughout all of the Vedas, Upanishads, and many of the later Hatha Yoga texts and many of the other myriad of texts, the main key concept on top of that, you don't have to believe in any god, is that all gods and people's views are accepted. So this is why in India you have all these different gods, Ganesh, Shiva, Vishnu, there is Lakshmi, all of the female gods and goddesses. These are all just one part of the divine creation. So everything is accepted. So it's very important to understand that especially in this yogic and ancient philosophy, everything accepted, whether you believe in God or whether you don't believe in God, it's fine. You don't even have to believe in God. from my perspective, I think it's very important to have faith in yourself, or faith in a higher reality, or faith in the quantum field of infinite potentiality. And I think if you just live your life by these concepts, then it helps you to live a more successful, fulfilling life. Because faith is another important concept of what I think meditation helps us is about as well. So it doesn't have to have any religious connotations.
Just your own religion.
Yeah, there you go. Nellie's religion. Yeah, hey. That's a good one. Yeah, so beautiful people, yeah, you don't have to have any religious connotations at all. But I recommend having faith in yourself and at least the quantum field, because there's an infinite potentiality, everything we want in our life. All of our goals, dreams, and aspirations are all out there in the quantum field, ready for us to materialize them. And on the topics you mentioned about vibrating on an energy, when we're thinking positively, this can be done with mantras and affirmations, by the way, as well, then we actually vibrate on a frequency that draws that into our reality. Okay, so that is that question.
That is that. I don't have anything to say. I'm just listening. I'm happy.
Yeah, so what's your take on that, Nellie? Does that resonate with you? Or because you come from the Czech.
Yeah.
And I think the Czech is I've heard people say it's not that of a religious place.
It is very funny actually that I'm asking you this question, because we are known for European country to be the most anti-religious.
Atheist, yeah?
Yeah, like atheist. But I don't mean it in a bad meaning, but it is mostly the people, they don't follow that much anymore Christianity.
Yeah, okay.
It's just like of course, they still can, or we have many religions, but the Czech people are sort of made that way, not to believe to someone else. So sometimes we don't believe the government even. Or so they don't easily follow the things.
Okay.
Which I found in some way good.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's
so they follow their own religion.
So there you go. And that's perfectly fine within this methodology and with this philosophy.
Follow your heart, follow your religion. It is just a play with words. But at the end of the day, you have to be happy, or it has to make you happy to follow it. So let's get a bit personal, Tony.
Ooh, okay.
How did you begin your meditation journey?
Yeah, so for me personally, back when I first started, I was actually at a backpackers in Byron Bay. And I just saw this sign, yoga. And for me back then, I didn't know anything about yoga. I was just really curious about it. And this was a while ago. My goal was to get up before 12 p.m. because we were partying quite a bit back then. So my goal was to get up before 12 p.m. and go to the yoga class. So I wasn't seeking to heal or nothing to do with spirituality. And I think that was the best thing I ever did in my life. And that just started me on a journey of healing, transformation, and it was an amazing thing. My first teacher was he was an Aussie guy actually, but he lived in India a lot, and he had his own personal guru. And the first class was very interesting because the thing that I can remember the most was that I started to view things. I guess back then I was really high achieving. I was working for all these international artists, and I was very focused on sort of climbing this ladder of working for the biggest musicians in the world.
Things.
Yeah, and all this type of
ego
stuff.
ladder.
Yeah, the ego. No, I was on the ego ladder. But I think the ego can be very good as well. But
good too.
Yeah. So I started to, for some reason, I don't know why, because I'm not really that spiritual, something within me started to view things that were worrying me and were humorous about them in a way. Oh, why are you worried about that, Tony? That's a bit silly kind of thing. So something within me started to view things that were bothering me from some sort of higher place. And then I had some other really interesting experience in the class. And then I was hooked and I started doing yoga. I lived with that guy actually for a few months. And then I started practicing in various studios. It was interesting, but because I was always drawn to the traditional Indian teachers. So I had an Indian teacher in Brisbane. And then I went to India. I lived on a few ashrams, and then I took my first yoga and meditation course, and that was pretty amazing. It was a good course. When I come back to Australia, I didn't start teaching straight away, and my body was not the best shape. I lost 30 kilos, and my knees were really sore because I was pushing myself a lot in India. So don't push yourself when you're trying to see. But then, I end up getting a job teaching. Yeah,
Sorry. So your first achievement, or what you could see, like in the first beginning, was the change of your awareness. Like, how do you see yourself? That were the first results.
I never ever thought of it like that, but it's very interesting you say that. Yeah, reflecting back now, I started to develop, some sort of awareness of how I saw myself. And that was exactly what happened. It's amazing that you said that. Yeah, it's interesting.
And may I ask you as well, what were the first obstacles, or when you said don't push yourself, what did you have to push yourself through?
The obstacles. Yeah, I think initially, because when you're first learning yoga, you do think it's about the physical asanas. So you're trying to push yourself into these positions that, number one, your bone structure might not allow you to do. Number two, that it might take many years for you to get into those asanas. And number three, you don't really need to practice advanced asanas. It's all about meditation and being healthy. So I think for me, I got those insights, especially from that pain I had in my knees, because I couldn't sit cross-legged for about a year. And I had, it was pretty painful. So I learned from that not to push yourself in the asanas. Yeah, so that was one of the things I learned initially. But there's many other things I've learned. I'm not too sure if you have some other questions.
And you didn't stop.
I can talk about. We can talk for days on things I've learned.
Yay! And how was your mind responding? Like the first, change of awareness. What your mind did? You said like you could hear, oh, Tony, that's a bit silly. Or
yeah.
Could you tell us a bit more about this, mind rewinding?
Yeah, and I think that's a very interesting concept because many people claim to be enlightened, and I've had personally some incredible enlightening experience during meditation, where you could call it enlightening experiences, definitely, where I felt like I was on top of the world. I just felt like I was in total control of everything. My mind was totally calm, totally peaceful. I could view everything. I could see everything in the future. I was just in this very powerful, calm, deep, peaceful states. So this is some of the experiences I've attained in meditation. I've had many others, from out-of-body experiences, past life experiences. We could go deep into that in another podcast. But my point is that even now, after 20 years of practicing yoga meditation, I will still stress, and the stress can be still as powerful as what it was back then. I think the difference now is that I have strategies to manage the stress and to deal with unpleasant experiences and to release them very, very quickly, as opposed to something might bother you for months, years. It could even be 5 years, whereas now I have the ability to release the emotional charge much quicker. I have the ability to understand and resolve the situation much quicker. And I think this is a beautiful thing because,
I think this is really important what you have said, that, and I think even for us to hear that even after 20 years, you do get stressed, because sometimes with meditation we imagine, okay, I'm just all balanced, everything is great in my life, but of course the opportunities to grow and some of the, we can call obstacles, or the opportunity comes up. So it's great to hear that you have found the strategies deal with it quicker and just to go on. And it's great to hear for us, or for me, who we think always that it's gonna be, sort of perfect and I get it done.
No.
So it's great to hear like it's even you have this experience.
Yeah, and the challenges in life make us stronger. There's belief that they're designed by higher reality to make us stronger and more powerful. The challenges that we have. So, yeah, and on that topic, many people are really challenged with learning meditation, and I think the only main reason for that is because of these skills and techniques that are essential to learn.
But you covered beautiful what we need to do and what meditation is and what is not. And I would like to ask you, how many minutes would you recommend for a beginner, like per day? Or what would you be the first step?
Yeah.
What you would recommend to someone who never ever, who is watching this for the first time, never ever try to meditate?
Yeah, so I think I would do some research and read about different meditation techniques and get a bit of an understanding of meditation. Because for me personally, like meditating, I don't have the same problems as many people do with trying to meditate. Like, I can't stop my thoughts. I always have to be in the present moment. I just have to do this and I just have to do that. For me, because I had very good teachers and I'd done a lot of research. So yes, it's a challenge what arises in the mind when you're sitting. Yes, it's a challenge, but I'm not in a process where I'm not going to meditate because I'm not getting any benefits, or I don't like meditation, or meditation is not for me. So that's why I think it's important to do some research. To start practicing, we can just practice for a couple of minutes each day to start off with. The key is to do it regularly. So that could be as simple as just waking up in the morning before you jump out of bed and have a coffee, sit for 2 minutes or 3 minutes, just reflect, do some basic breathing. We can do some body rotations to calm us down a little bit. And then just to reflect on your day, what you'd like to achieve. Could be something as simple as that. Then throughout your day at work, during your lunch break, you could just spend a couple of minutes practicing basic breathing and basic awareness techniques. This could be a way to practice. And then at night, sit down for a couple of minutes and just do 5 minutes of just relaxing and reflecting on your day. Or just do 5 minutes every day. Yeah, very simple. Whatever suits you, the morning, lunchtime. Or we can be practicing this meditative experience throughout our day as well. Just being aware of, we're breathing, we're just aware of what's happening. So we can integrate meditation into our daily life, any task that we're doing. Walking along the beach, going for a walk, we could do walking meditations. Not so much when you're driving, you have to be careful because you can go into these deeper peaceful states. Yeah. So yeah, if not driving or operating any machinery. Yeah, so an awareness is the key there as well. With the breath, we're focusing on the breath. And on that topic, the reason why we focus on the breath is because when we're consciously aware of our breathing, as opposed to, it becomes a process of a more evolved brain. When we're unconscious breathing, it becomes a process of the primitive brain. So that's why it's very important to be consciously aware of your breath during meditation, and you can utilize that during your life. It shifts you out of the fight-flight response back into a more calmer, peaceful state where you're operating from your more evolved brain. And that can help you in many ways.
Absolutely. As well how you react.
What's that?
As well how you react.
As well how you react, yeah. Yeah, and that's the key too. Meditation helps us not to react, which for me, I have a tendency to say what I feel and to react to certain things. And that can be very powerful and useful sometimes, but other times it's best to think about what you're going to say. Because there's a saying that if you're angry, you shouldn't write an email or say something, you know?
Yeah, I heard as well, but if you're happy, you shouldn't write the email.
Oh, I haven't heard of that, but yeah, there's the other side of that. I never thought of that one, but
yeah,
that's a good one.
Because nothing lasts forever. We are in constant change.
Yeah.
So that's why you shouldn't write email when you're angry, but even when you're happy.
Yeah, and on that topic there, the other misconception is many people think they don't have enough time to meditate. So number one, the most successful people in the world, CEOs, movie stars, athletes, they all meditate. They all make time for it because it makes them more productive. It gives them a clear vision. They can think more clearly. And more importantly, the more we meditate, the less stress we have. So I genuinely believe that you could extend your lifespan by 10, 20 years and have a better quality of life by meditating. So by not meditating, I think you can definitely be reducing your lifespan.
So if you want to live till 120, if you're 100 now watching it, start some meditation now.
Yeah, they say that there's yogis in India that are living to those ages. So, but I'm going to India soon, so I'll see if I can find some of them for me, and I'll let you know about that.
This can be another podcast.
That's another podcast, yeah.
And if I can ask you, Tony, if you could tell us a bit more about the actual meditation practices. So if you can tell us 5 or 10, or which one of them is closest to your heart, or if it depends on the mood.
Yeah. So on that topic, you're asking what my favorite practice is. Now, I know this sounds a bit interesting, but to be honest with you, my favorite practice is actually teaching meditation. Yeah, so I think the thing that I really love the most is actually teach yoga and meditation classes that integrate various different concepts. So within the yoga class, I like to introduce an initial meditation or yoga nidra, a lying down meditation. So this calms down the class and yourself. Then yoga practices with a lot of awareness to really strengthen and purify your body and release that emotional charge of stress. Furthermore, if we practice chakra asanas structured around the chakras, I find this is very powerful. But with high levels of awareness during the yoga class. And if you practice in this process, and then breathing practices at the end, or we can practice in the beginning or during the class, what you'll find is that when you do sit or lie down for meditation, you've released a lot of emotional stress. Your body's back into that parasympathetic nervous system state, the relaxed state. And then when we sit and meditate, I just find this where I feel the best and I feel the most powerful. So I find for me, following that process is very powerful. And on that topic, Nelly, I think that's why a lot of people are struggling with meditation as well, because they don't prepare themselves for meditation. For example, they might just go and sit. Okay, they go home or wherever they are, and they sit down. So number one,
rushing the things, say.
Yeah. So number one, it's a challenge to sit. Even for me, after doing yoga for quite a few years, it's a challenge to sit because you don't have the strength in the core. You might have problems with your knees and your hips. So just that can be a challenge. Correct breathing. This is very important that you learn how to breathe correctly. So this is very important that you learn how to do that. On top of that, your diet is very important as well, because it's hard to meditate if we don't eat the right foods. Because
do you have schnitzel in your stomach?
Yeah.
Forget about clearing
Check
your
schnitzel.
mind.
Yeah, so a diet is very important as well, because if we don't eat the correct foods, it's obviously not healthy for us, but it blocks up our nose, so we can't breathe through our nose. If we eat too much, we feel bloated, and you don't normally notice until you sit and meditate. And then you start to realize, oh, why did I eat that Big Mac, or why did I eat whatever? So then that can inhibit us from meditation.
So you did name a few of the techniques?
Yeah, so on the topic of techniques that I love and the way I like to teach meditation and practice meditation is, it's a model that's derived from what is called the Taittiriya Upanishad, which is an ancient text scribed about 600 BC. So within the second chapter called the Ananda Valley, the Taittiriya Upanishad elucidates a model of human transformation. And this model has different sheaths and layers. Now the chakras can be incorporated in, but let's talk about these 5 sheaths of our human experience. Because we're human beings, we're not just the mind, we're not just the body, we're all comprised of more than that. So starting off with, it's called the Anamaya Kosha. So the Anamaya Kosha is related to our physical dimension that we experience this human experience. And it's interesting in that text, they talk about diet even back then. Mm-hmm. So in 600 BC, they talk about the importance of diet. So not just food, but food is important. They talk about our diet and our surroundings of intake. So this can be energy of other people, energy of our surroundings.
Very clever.
Yeah, our diet. And on the physical dimension, I like to incorporate yoga asanas into this concept as well, because it's very important that we're healthy and we can sit for meditation. So that is called the Manamaya Kosha. It's related to the physical dimension. The next kosha is related to it's called the Pranamaya Kosha. So the Pranamaya Kosha is the energy dimension. It is related to, yes, the air we breathe and the energy we receive from air, but it's also related to the energy we receive from the universe and the energy within the body. So it's very important. The reason why this energy is important too, because when we're low on energy, it even affects our emotions and our thinking processes. When we're happy and when we have high energy, we think more clearly, and we're generally more optimism and more positive.
And we breathe differently, as you said. If you catch yourself in that stress, you're more tired, and it has changed.
Drains your energy. So there'll be low pranic energies. And prana and pranayama is a very deep subject, which would be a topic of another class. But it's very important that we learn how to regulate the energy, and to, in the context of meditation, we're utilizing the breath to access the subconscious, the superconscious mind. We're utilizing the breath to harmonize the hemispheres of the brain. There's many different techniques that we can utilize the breath, the prana in our body. So that's the Pranamaya Kosha. The next kosha and the next practices that I like to practice are for the Manamaya Kosha. So the mano means the mind. So now we're practicing techniques called Satchidhyana, to tune into your wise, calm, grounded higher self. This is where we spoke about purifying the subconscious mind, developing that ability to watch and witness what is arising in your mind, so you can cleanse and purify, resolve it, and shift it. So that's another very powerful practice. And then within this structure, we can also integrate those dharana and concentration meditation practices and mantras as well. So it's related to the mind. And within the Manamaya Kosha, there's the lower mind, and then there's more of a higher mind called the Buddhi, which the text goes into very big detail. But that's another very powerful concept that I think is very important as well. And then the next layer is called the Vijnanamaya Kosha. So that's related to our wisdom sheath. Wisdom, higher knowledge, and our individual consciousness, our Atma, our soul, or the best possible version of yourself, or you could view it as tuning into your more evolved brain. So the text elucidates that this is it's like a sheath. So it's our soul. It's another sheath, a layer of our dimension that we work on in order to transcend our human experience. And then the next layer is called the Anandamaya Kosha. So the bliss kosha. It's related to our faith in a higher reality. Could be a God, or it could be just the energy that's prevalent in all of the world, or the quantum field of the infinite potentiality. So I think techniques to practice that help us to achieve that. There's mantra meditations, and there's various techniques that we utilize to tune into this universal consciousness, and they seem to work, even coming from a place myself who is not really that spiritual, and an Aussie guy who played rugby league and things like that. When you practice these techniques, it's amazing what you experience intuitively. So the technique of the Tat Upanishad is to work on all the different layers, and then once again, it's that concept of uniting your individual consciousness with the universal consciousness.
Do you share these techniques in your books or in the workshops?
Yeah, I have various books and workshops. One of the ones, especially good for beginners and for meditation teachers, is called The Art and Science of Mastering Meditation. And I'll leave a link below for you to discover more about that. Yeah, that covers a lot of these techniques. Also have another book called Meditation Secrets, which goes deeper into the koshas. So there'll be some links in the description for those.
I think for those advanced, they're gonna be very interested.
I think you'll find these techniques very useful if you're a beginner or if you're an advanced meditator. If you're a beginner, they will give you knowledge and an overview of the myriad of powerful meditation practices. And if you're an advanced meditator, I'm sure you'll find you'll get some great benefit in practicing these techniques.
And could you please, Tony, share with us some of your experiences with the student, how the powerful transformation, what has happened?
Yeah.
I'm really curious.
That's a great question. So one of the things that comes to mind was teaching at a university, the University of Queensland. Many of my students, from the students to many of the staff at the university, were doctors and professors. I even had heads of psychology department that come to my classes regularly. And I think for the students, the university is a very stressful place. Excuse me. So just managing that stress and releasing the tension during the day, I think is a very powerful thing. And I've had some students talk about how it's helped them with their exams, during exam, and successfully having a positive outcomes for their exams.
I wish we could have that on our university.
Yeah.
I would go there definitely.
Yeah.
Especially in the exam period.
Yeah, the exam period.
I would be there.
Yeah, and other students getting a job. So I used to teach them sankalpas and visualization techniques. So the visualization techniques are very powerful to foresee yourself doing a presentation successfully as well. And to also, you could utilize those techniques to be calm and relaxed during the exam and see yourself have a successful outcome. So there were some very positive outcomes there. Actually, one of my students, Jake, I've got a testimonial from him on that topic. He just had it really helped him coming to the classes regularly. And then I saw him at Miami Marquetta. He said, I got this job, I'm an engineer now. And, so it was a great outcome there. Yeah, one of my students who was a professor who had been coming to my classes for 10 years, we collaborated and we created a course specifically for students to help them to study better, to manage university, and to help them to get a job. And this was I'll leave it at that.
That is usually a very stressful time when transitioning from that. And you also have to have the faith, what we've been talking about before. So that's definitely going to help.
Yeah. And I think more importantly, on a physical level, I have worked with some people who have overcome some stress and anxiety. For example, many of them are on meds as well. So I've helped people get off meds. I helped them manage stress. Actually, one of the girls was a Buddhist and she was stressing out a lot at work. And even though she was very highly skilled and she was a job lower than what she was skilled for, she was still stressing out a lot at work. And she has lots of serious illnesses, which I won't go into. She was getting the blood infusions and her hair was falling out. And she was on these very dangerous treatments. And then with over a year, her blood parameters changed. And she eventually weaned herself off all these chemicals that they were injecting into her bloodstream. And then the last time I saw her, she was free from getting the injections. So it's obviously you need to consult with your doctor. I'm not saying don't see a doctor, but this is an incredible transformation of seeing somebody on meds for stress and anxiety, pills for her heart, and she was getting injections in her bloodstream because they thought her blood was out of balance. But slowly over time, her parameters come back to normal, and then slowly, by step, we reduce her off all the chemicals and the medications. Yeah, and then another girl, same sort of thing, suicidal. She eventually got off meds. She had hypothyroidism, and she was taking the medicines. Her mother had her thyroid taken out. So over, once again, a period of time, she was off the meds, off the treatment that they take for hypothyroidism, and she became a yoga teacher, and now she has her own practice helping other women. So there's just a couple of examples that are off the top of my head.
That is amazing, Tony.
Yeah. And I know this sounds like a big claim, but when you think about it, once again, as I spoke about previously in the podcast, if we're in that stressful environment, the body is pumping chemicals into our bloodstream, the cortisol and the adrenaline. It's suppressing our immune system. It's shutting off chemicals and oxygen into our reproductive system, our thyroid gland. It's stressing out our heart. If we can just balance our lifestyle out with meditation to stop those, then that's why I believe I've had these great results, and it can have a very powerful effect on your life and extend your life and your lifespan and your quality of life. So thanks so much for watching. I hope you found this useful. Please subscribe, and I also have many other videos on YouTube that you can refer back to where I talk about these techniques. And if you'd like to go deeper in these methodologies, you might like to discover more about my brand new book called The Art and Science of Mastering Meditation. There should be a link in the description for you to discover more about that. Take care. See you soon.